to annoy me. Just gonna be part of my canonization process.
Right.
Like, look at those sufferings she had to endure.
Yes.
Why, hello.
Hey there. Hey there.
Oh, I know why.
Hello there.
Let's stop. Because I have it set up for doing one directional.
Oh.
Because I used it. I'm like, why am I so far away sounding? There we go. All right, we can try that again. I don't have an intro. Think fast. Why, hello.
Hey there. I don't have an intro either.
I literally just said, I don't have an intro. Think fast, Dale. And yeah, not thinking fast enough. Oh, we just endured, because talking of the weather here in Colorado is just one of our most favorite intros. We had 80, like high 80s.
No, we were in the 90s. It got to
Thursday?
89, 90 degrees on Thursday, and then it dropped to 40, 34.
No, it was in the 30s for sure on Friday.
Yeah, and
And
then,
it snowed. It snowed bunches.
yeah, I think at least a good 2 inches, 3 inches of sloppy snow stuck for a day, and then was gone. So.
And it was wet, heavy snow. So there was a couple of limbs that were broken because all of the leaves are out on the trees. And the most damage we have at our house is actually my sage.
Oh,
it
really?
weighed down my sage and broke many of the stalks. And I'm wondering if I mean, they'll grow, but it's maybe going to look horrible the rest of the summer. It's going to look like meh, sage.
I don't know if I'll notice at all.
You probably won't. I'm the one that pays attention to it.
I didn't know sage was supposed to look a certain way.
What? It's supposed to look big and have like
lots
violet
of bees
flowers.
on it.
Yeah, with bees on it.
Yeah.
I spend an inordinate amount of time looking at the sage because of the bees. And I'm like, which ones of these are my bees? I bet most of them are my bees, but not all of them.
True.
Yeah.
Speaking of bees, happy feast of St. Rita today.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Yes, we've enjoyed that. We had some fun with the kids, and you had some fun with your Cricut machine making fancy
Paper craft
ornaments.
Yeah, so I have the Catholic Mother's Journal, and I enjoy it as a tool for prayer and just exposing myself to new devotions and things like that. It's fun. And they have crafts and recipes in this book, and it's, I think, organized by British moms because there's a lot of European recipes and things like that. So kind of interesting, although I think it's published by Ascension here, but the website is like a .uk type of website on the back of the thing, so I don't know. But
Sure.
Anyways, for the activities this year, I was quite annoyed when I received this in the mail, and I crack it open and I look at the activities and I'm like, these are all crafts with kids. Huh. And there's lots of tissue paper and cotton swabs and rubber bands and I don't know. Not stuff that is my forte.
Not precise
but I take
creations on the Cricut machine.
No. Well, okay. And the Cricut machine had not come yet, but I have a friend who also uses this journal, and so I texted her and I'm like, do you want to do this with me? And I've been really horrible actually about checking in with her. So hopefully it'll be interesting if she's doing any of these crafts. But I am taking the saint days that they're suggesting that you craft, and I'm taking the craft focus, and instead of doing cotton swabs and tissue paper and glue and rubber bands and things that make me, probably Play-Doh is in there. You're welcome. Toilet paper rolls, empty toilet paper rolls. I can come up with more.
Okay.
But instead, I am applying my puzzling nature into making paper craft cutouts for paper ornaments that recognize and emphasize a symbol of the saint that is associated with the saint, or an image from the saint's story. So it's been kind of fun.
So a lot of times when you make these things, you're putting them on your YouTube Kit Naptime projects.
Yeah.
Although are you gonna do this one?
I did it already, although I messed up. I somehow exported like a 20-minute video, and it's literally like 2 minutes. So I don't know. I have to re-export it. So I deleted it already.
Okay.
But yeah, I will have it there, and it's been quite fun. So it is a puzzle trying to think about like flattening and using paper and colors and Cricut machines. But it's
not my forte.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I do for fun, is like puzzle out these paper crafts. And so I cut 2, and I make one in order to be a model to show to my children, and then they make the other one. And then we're supposed to like write the saint's name, the date, and pray for us on these things. And usually, like, I missed it today. I was quite annoyed because there's my beautiful little rose ornament for Saint Rita, and with a bee on it. And we did not write Saint Rita, pray for us. May 22nd.
Okay.
So I'll have to do that tomorrow.
There you go.
Belatedly. But we talked about Saint Rita today.
We did. Watched a little bit of it unformed. I did not fall asleep while we watched that part. I had to read for the kids because they were talking in Italian.
Okay.
And it was very fast Italian.
It looked very suspicious when I went downstairs.
I was just resting my head lightly in a horizontal position on the couch. It's fine.
I can just see our kids, like their eyeballs are weeping out of boredom. And you're sleeping. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you making our children watch while you take a nap?
Rosie was wanting to watch Freelancers, and Terrence was sort of into it. And Johnny kept saying, I don't want to watch about God. I don't want to watch about God. I'm like, it's not watching about God. It's watching about saints. I don't want to watch about God. Okay, keep watching. You're
giving them PTSD to the Formed app. That's not good.
Oh, they'll be fine. We barely watched any of it.
Yeah, I know. Because I came
and then you came down.
Yeah, and I was up doing a few downloads from what we'll be talking about here in Small Talk momentarily.
Right.
Well, I'm Kit.
I'm Dale.
Welcome to Catholic Hitch. We are a Catholic family seeking heaven and hoping to pick up others along the way.
Now that small talk you were talking about.
The small talk I was talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So for my long time, maybe not long term, my long time job. What are you looking at?
I don't know. I'm just waiting in eager anticipation for this talk.
I feel like you should already know most of this. So waiting in eager expectation, like staring in between my eyeballs, is definitely off-putting to me. Tip.
Okay, I'll look away.
That might also be weird. Just don't be weird. So for the job that I've had for a long time and enjoy, that has to do with transportation demand management. Mm-hmm. I have had the privilege and the pleasure of being able to ride around on our community trail network, capturing footage using a GoPro that belongs to my boss, and kind of assembling that raw footage into videos that we're going to post on YouTube through the month of June in recognition of Colorado Bike Month, which is the entire month of June, leading up to Colorado Bike to Work Day, which is the 4th Wednesday in June.
No, that's coming up.
It is. But technically, National Bike to Work Day was last week.
Oh, okay.
It's always like mid-May for the rest of the country, but Colorado's got to be weird and also just make us hate ourselves in the middle of June.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand the rest of the country wanting to do it in June because it's not as nice as it is here this time of year. Like, if I was in, Tennessee, so it's maybe June would be better in my mind.
Well, maybe as far as like it being temperate. The entire intention of a bike to work event, like a bike to work day, what would that intention be? Like, what is part of the plan of the organizers?
Rider awareness of not necessarily the bicyclists, but of car drivers who see that all of these people are bicycling. And pedestrian.
I would say that is not a goal. That is like a positive externality to the event.
Okay. Well, that would to me be the primary goal, to see and cause cultural change.
Okay, so the idea of a Bike to Work Day event anywhere in the entire world, if you see Bike to Work Day, the idea is that you get a lot of people out biking and encouraged to bike on one day. You have lots of fun things going on. You have stations with free food and prizes in order to get someone to try riding a bike. And while they're trying to ride a bike, you hope that the net positive experience is good, better than like bad, and that they continue to bike through the rest of the biking season. So that's why you have a Bike to Work Day event in May, because that means you have a whole summer of days that you could potentially substitute a bike ride instead of an auto trip. If you're celebrating just Bikes Day, that's different. But a Bike to Work Day event is going to be to try to attack people's habit of always just getting in the car and driving, no matter what time of year. So having a Bike to Work Day event in June is like slightly problematic because you've already lost a month of potential trips.
Got it.
However, it has been like the legend of Bike to Work Day here in Colorado. I call it the legend because everyone speaks of it, but I've never actually found proof. The legend is that it was dictated by the legislature here many, many moons ago, like 30, 40 years ago, that we shall decree June as Colorado Bike Month, and we shall decree the fourth Wednesday in June to be Colorado Bike to Work Day, because we have mountain communities in Colorado that are quite high in elevation, and a lot of them are still like they have snow right now in May. And by June, those communities are like nice and thawed out and people can actually bike. However, for those of us on the plain, which is the majority of the state, we are experiencing usually 100-degree weather in June. Mm-hmm. So not my most favorite time of year to
lots of bugs.
Encourage people to bike. It also misses kind of being able to get that synergy with the schools at the end of the school year, maybe getting kids back on their bikes, do bike to school day events, and getting the teachers to bike and things like that. So we miss a little bit of that population. And a whole month that goes by.
I could understand why you would blame politics for that, because it sounds like something politically would occur.
Well, so I keep saying many. I'm like overusing that. Roughly 7 years ago, I made a very strong effort to try to actually find that resolution from the legislature that dictated it. I went on those like horrible like state record sites that record all of the different resolutions and this and this and that. Could not find it.
So I was going to say that you had to go into like the Denver library and look at microfiche.
That's probably what I should have done.
I don't even think it exists. Could you go do that for me? I don't think it exists anymore.
I think it's all online.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame.
Maybe I can have you go look through old newspaper.
If it was on microfiche, I would, because that's fun. Those machines are awesome. You go clickety, and then you got to zoom in and look at little things.
All right, I never experienced it except watching movies of people doing it.
Yeah.
So I've never actually looked at
when I was a freshman in college, we had to research that way.
That seems incredible to me. I'm an internet girl here.
I know.
Came to maturity in the internet information age when everyone had these really great ideas about how well the internet would provide like connectivity and the net positive gain that we'd have in our like worldwide knowledge.
You and I went to different schools, let me tell you.
We're slightly different years apart, and I honestly think that makes a difference.
I think it does, because my experience of the internet was waiting for 30 seconds for Yahoo or Netscape to open up, and some teenage boy over off the side somehow found a way to a porn site, and the teacher didn't notice.
I never saw any of that.
Oh, that was rampant in my school. Of course, because that's what you use the internet for.
And I was rather, I'd say, naive, and also, what's the word when you're not observant? Obtuse?
I don't think that's quite it. I would just say not observant.
Okay. I'm not observant.
Yes.
You know this about me.
I do. That's how I win at the Tesla game all the time.
You shave a mustache off, and I noticed 3 weeks later that you don't have a mustache. When did you shave, by the way?
Well, on Sunday.
Last Sunday?
Week. Yes.
Did you have facial hair before that?
On Saturday, I did.
What kind of facial hair?
Like not this Sunday.
I know, not this. No, today is Sunday.
I know, but
so last Sunday. A week ago. Okay.
Shaved it off.
What did you have on your face?
I had a mustache and a pirate's goatee thingy.
Okay, that's like one of your faves.
Whatever you call it.
Yeah, see, I didn't notice that you had facial hair and then shaved it off. Couldn't you be this like lack of observations for me to shave my head?
No.
You're like, can't get away with that again.
You can if you want. You can
you
shave
keep
your
saying
head.
that, but then you give me these eyeballs that say it's a horrible idea. Yeah. Anyway, I've been taking bike rides. It's been fun. And it's for a project that we're trying to develop like a regional bike map and get footage in order to promote kind of ride previews and virtual rides, etc. But been pretty glorious. I've ridden 30 miles or so this week. I took like one super epic ride of 2 different long trails earlier in the week, and then you helped haul me around today to capture like the gap footage.
Yes, and I had to make sure I beat you because you thought you would beat me.
I know. I had really an overestimation of how fast I'd be. But I'm on an e-bike, so it's quite fast. It tops out and won't go past 20 miles an hour.
Okay.
And I ran into lack of infrastructure, as I told you.
And
so I had to walk it several times.
Doesn't quite, it's not very good on off-road.
No, it's sketch. It's a little scary. But that's been kind of what I've been doing this week.
Yeah, and I'd swear that e-bike at least weighs 50 pounds, if not more.
It's horribly
heavy.
Put
it on the scale and see what that thing is, because it's heavy. I have a hard time lifting it in the back of the truck.
I mean, I did 26 miles without and it still was 2 bars left on the battery the other day.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's a great battery life.
And it's like someone is running behind you on that. So it's not a throttle. That's a different type of e-bike. This is just a pedal assist. So you have to pedal. But it's like this person is constantly pushing you up. So it's like you have a mom behind you that's like pushing you wherever you go. It's so much fun. I'm enjoying it quite a lot.
You should tell your mom that. Mom, I feel like you're with me all the time. Right behind me, pushing me on my e-bike.
Well, the reason I say it that way is I've been teaching so many children to ride. That's like the exact experience. I'm like, when I'm rushing or, pushing them.
Oh, I know what you mean.
That's what it's like. Yeah. So it's been fun. I've been enjoying it. And we are, like swapping it between people at my org, trying to capture the footage. And it's really just the 2 people, actually, who are taking ride video. But that's been fun. That's been the little to-do of this week. Yeah.
So the fun for the kids was if Daddy beats Mommy to the said rendezvous location, we get candy. If Mommy wins, we get ice cream. So it wouldn't have mattered either way. They were in a win-win situation for them, but they were, kind of bored, and we were listening to Journey of all things.
Really loud.
Hey, Don't Stop Believing. It's a great song.
And
won't. Rosie was singing it, so I'm not going to stop that train. I mean, might as well sing good rock and roll from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, just flash forward 5 years, she's going to have like a side ponytail, and fanny pack's already in. What else can be?
She's going to be hanging out with
shorts,
those weird dudes that we saw walking across that like schismed three different decades of fashion wear, and we were like, what's going on here? We're getting old because we don't understand why they're wearing those things.
Everyone looks ridiculous to me. Yeah. Everyone looks ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, one dude looked like he was straight out of the 90s, like full bold colors and
like
poofy
things did
clothes.
not look good back then.
And then another guy was wearing something that was like pajamas, but not. They were like sweats with stuff on. And then the other guy looked like he was from the grunge era. It was weird, but hey, yeah, sure. Those young whippersnappers and their crazy style.
Yeah, I'll never understand tie-dye coming back.
Oh, no.
I will never understand.
No.
Anyway, we should get on to Big Talk.
Sounds good. Okay.
So we pursued persisted. We persisted in reading
We
the
persisted.
next chapter in The Extraordinary Parents of Saint Teresa of
And we're
Lisieux.
almost complete, right?
Yeah, I'm really excited
Yeah.
for the next. I almost want to do the next chapter next week because I'm really excited for it as well.
So we were on chapter 8, which was Zéllie's suffering and passion.
Zélie.
That's what I said.
It's not an it's an A.
That's what I said. Zélie.
You said Zelly.
Like I said, that's what I
You
said.
said Zelly with a French accent, but it's Zélie.
Zélie. There you go. Okay.
Zélie.
My apologies. So I thought this was a beautiful chapter in many respects. It's a hard chapter because it is, it's about her suffering through cancer.
Yeah, did you read the chapter's title?
Yeah, her passion.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Right, which makes sense. It's her suffering through and honestly preparing herself to go home, which I think made it in some ways very easy for her, but not in other ways. I mean, the pain was brutal because there was nothing they could really do back in that time period. I mean, they could have cut.
There was no palliative care.
Yeah, they could have cut on her, but that would have just probably made it worse. Probably it escalated the time period. And, they said once they figured out that she had it, because they knew something was there, they didn't know it was cancer, but they knew it was like a cyst or something like that.
They called it a tumor.
Yeah, a tumor, they called it.
Yeah, they weren't calling it, I guess, cancer back then. But she had, noticed something in her 30s, and then she had trouble breastfeeding.
Right.
And that was the most likely reason was that she had breast cancer and a tumor growing in there. So her body wasn't functioning the way that it ought to have. So she always had to go and seek out a wet nurse, which contributed to her suffering all of those years through the loss of, many children.
Right. Which I'm sure was not just like a physical desolation, but probably a spiritual desolation as well. That here you can't do what your vocation has told you to do, which is to, nurture and feed your children. So I'm sure that was very difficult to contend with. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was very beautiful in how throughout all of her suffering, she just kind of pushed through. And I could really relate, of course, as you would imagine, shocker, with Louis, and just the thought of your spouse going through the pain and suffering that they are, and that you're helpless as a man. That's
suffering
it's
too.
Neutering,
Yeah.
in many ways, to think that you just can't do anything. So I mean, he did everything he could. He helped with the business, the Alençon, yes,
Alençon, yep.
haha, lace business, and I mean, he took care of the kids, I'm sure, as much as he could.
And he took care of the littles. And I know they had household help as well.
Yeah.
But Zélie went with her older daughters to, was it Lourdes? Where did they go?
Yes, they went to Our Lady of Lourdes, which was another, again, beautiful part of this, is that she only went to Lourdes more for her children. She was lifting up and giving her children to Our Lady and praying for them and praying for Leonie.
Yep.
To get through whatever was going on.
And I was so
excited
to go. Oh, you don't remember what happened with Leonie? So
give me a quick
Leonie,
refresher.
She had always been kind of a strong-willed girl, and she didn't have her little sister partner, oh my goodness, what was the name of the daughter that died? Helen.
Uh-huh.
She would have been Leonie's little pair, because all the sisters had a pair. So Pauline and Marie, they were a pair, and Teresa and oh my goodness, Celine, I think it was.
Yeah.
They were the younger pair, and so it was Leonie all by herself, and she was a little difficult. And they discovered that the household maid had been abusing her for years, not physically or like possibly physically, but
It was
not
verbal
in like
abuse
a,
for sure.
yeah, it was, she was verbally abusing and emotionally abusing this little girl and terrorizing her.
Yes.
And that Leonie was alone and completely isolated in this suffering. She was afraid, and her parents weren't coming to her defense. They weren't picking up that she was being abused, and so it just made everything worse for her.
Yeah.
And then by the
time.
grace of God, someone, I think it was the older sister, overheard Leonie being bullied and abused by this woman, and then got the parents' attention, and Zélie and Louis swept in and had proportionately appropriate response in defense of Leonie.
Right.
And so Leonie got to like actually experience that the defense of herself, by her parents, and feel like she was under their protection, and that really changed her relationship with her parents, especially with her mom.
It was night and day in comparison of the struggle that they had, and I'm pretty sure they sacked the maid. Which was, of course, difficult.
They did, and then they didn't, actually.
Yeah, okay, I was a little confused.
So they fired her immediately, but then, it's pretty rough to be fired in those days, because if you don't have a reference, or if you're leaving a job and you're not, departing another job, you can't get a job. It's kind of like the Downton Abbey, you see that portrayed a bit. Like, if you don't have a reference, you're like done. You're going to be on the streets. And so I'm sure that she went back begging, and they got actually spiritual direction about the situation from some like elderly nuns who said, why don't you just try to be patient through the situation. So they hired her back for the rest of their time in Alençon. I think they were still there at that point before Zélie died. And then, of course, when they left, she went and found another employee, and she, I guess, spoke highly of the Martins for the rest of her life. The maid did.
I'm sure.
And their generosity of spirit and everything.
Yeah.
And she, in her own twisted way, had been doing it because she loved Zélie so much. And she saw, like, Leonie being a problem child. And so she was just bullying and ganging up on Leonie at any moment and terrorizing her, kind of in retribution from imagined or real slights. But it's like Zélie didn't want her daughter being bullied and abused.
Of course not.
So this woman was really kind of twisted around, and hopefully the mercy that they showed her was really helpful to writing her spiritual path as well as an individual. Because it seems like that's pretty easy to see with this couple, that like they constantly were touching so many lives and bringing others closer to God.
Yeah.
Through their own,
for sure
choices in life.
Yeah. So when they went to Our Lady of Lourdes, and Zélie, did I say it right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll stop being the police. It's just that first
time. The French police.
I am Pepe Debut.
I don't know much about French. I used to, but not anymore. So yeah, they go to Our Lady of Lourdes, and the whole time they're doing this, Zélie is basically praying for her family. She's praying for her daughters to be saints. Like, that's really the reason she went. And it was difficult for her to ask for healing, for a miracle in many respects, from God, because it felt like putting her God to the test, I think. Is not exactly how they say it in the book.
Yeah, she had a hard time, I think, accepting that she should be asking for a miracle. That there were other better causes for miracles, and she didn't want God to change, the laws of nature for her.
Yes, that's how they say it.
And she had this amazing trust, and it's heartbreaking as a mom. Like, she knew she was leaving her daughters, and I can't imagine like what that would feel like. And at the end of her life, she's just like, I know I am deficient compared to the Blessed Mother. Yes. And so the Blessed Mother is going to be able to, take care of my family. And the trust that she had in Our Lady to do that. And she knew she was going up to heaven. And I've been listening to Story of a Soul on Hallow. And, like, Teresa has a perception of her mother in heaven praying for her. And you can just kind of see Like Zélie left this world in order to go into the true world, the true existence that God has for us and is holding for us. And she just kind of turned around. She joined with her 4 little babies up in heaven, her 3 sons and 1 daughter. And she just started praying for her daughters, and one by one, and her husband.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The trust. I can't fathom having that surrender, that level of surrender.
It's most impressive.
It's astonishing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, even though it's not like if you and I were to, even if we were to take a train and go with all the kids and try to go from point A to point B, that's painful for us to do. It would be like, I don't know, times 20 for them in their time period to do, because it sounded like things got mixed up when they were trying to get on the train. And then one of the daughters, her dress got coffee spilt all over it. So mom goes into mom mode almost.
And the girls were
the
sick
whole time.
too.
Yeah, and they were sick.
Because they're like, we're going to take care of you, Mom. And they're older,
Right.
the older children. So the
Yes.
little girls stayed at home. But yeah, she winds up caring for her own children, even though she's, in great pain.
Yes.
And Zélie did not like pilgrimages. She never went on pilgrimages. Louis he went on like annual pilgrimages, and he loved them. And it's kind of funny. You can kind of imagine how like wonderful they were as a married couple to have arrived at that point where Louis like, let's go on pilgrimage. Like, this is going to be sweet. And maybe Zélie went like, okay, sure. And went to please him initially. And then eventually had to confess and say, this is not my thing. This is not my form of prayer. This is your form of prayer. You can take pilgrimages. Go on pilgrimage, my love, but leave me at home. This is where I'm happy. And then it's a reversal at the very end. So she suffered to endure a pilgrimage, which was not her favorite form of prayer, but she did it out of love of her family who were so desperate for a miracle.
Right. Yeah, even her. So I couldn't recall because, we've kind of been reading this for a while, but the family that they are talking about in the book, the Garin family.
Yep. So that's her little brother.
Okay, so that's her family, Zélie's family.
Yeah, Zélie's brother.
Okay,
and sister-in-law.
So half the time she's consoling them because they're just beside themselves that their sister or daughter is doing or is dying or
and her older sister. So is it Isidore's older sister as well?
And she's a sister.
Sister Marie.
Yes, sister.
Yes, she's actually like a consecrated religious. She died. And it kind of makes you wonder if maybe she died of breast cancer as well, because I don't think it was super specific as to like this situation that she died in. But Marie died shortly before Zélie's illness was confirmed. And that was kind of integrated into the whole story of Léonie. Yeah. And the kind of conversion of heart that Léonie went through as part of Zélie's passion as well. Yeah. So it's just like a lot of loss.
Yeah, so she passed, I believe, on the 26th to the 27th of August. And then on the 28th, she was buried. So very quick.
Really quick.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Don't
get them in the ground.
Yeah, you do in that time period. But I thought it was beautiful. Had a few struggles just on the husband side of things and seeing the understanding. And then I can't imagine the pain at which she was going through. But it's so beautiful that at each moment of that torment, she just gave it all to Christ, every bit of it, and it wasn't like you could go quickly in those times. And like you said, there was no palliative care.
Yeah. She suffered incredibly in the last one.
She didn't, it wasn't even like they had opiates that she could be on. Wasn't a thing, or wasn't something that was around maybe for her stature class, which they were pretty high class people of their time period. So yeah, she literally suffered through every pain, and it sounded like this tumor metastasized and went all the way up her shoulders, her arm, her neck.
Yeah, it was in every lymph node.
Yeah, she was swollen all the way through.
And she couldn't sleep because of the pain of every position.
Right. A moment's respite was just like finding that one spot and then knowing when to turn her body so that she could move enough to not feel just the exacerbating pain of this cancer eating her body.
Yeah, it kind of, the way that that's described, it reminded me of when I'm pregnant and have Charlie horses in the middle of the night. Yeah. And I learn like what I need to do to try to like prevent that from happening, like right before it seizes. And that's kind of like what it's describing, that she learned what her body needed as far as adjustments in order to not seizure. Go into, like a full like throttling pain. Or I don't know, it called it like episodes. Yeah. Or whatever.
I thought it was a seizure almost that they called it.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
But that might be. It didn't use, I don't think, the word seizure unless I totally did not observe that, which I'm not very observant.
Well, as you know. I read it this morning, and you read it a long time ago, and then did some
I just skimming. Read it today.
Oh, you did?
I reread it, yeah. Because it's been so long, and I reread it every time you read it, only so that I can speak about the specific chapter and not like be speaking all over the book. And that's obviously, we're one chapter away from the end. And I'm like, also, I've been excited all of this time to get to these 2 chapters. Yeah. Because not that it's fun to like to read through someone's suffering. It's like actually really shocking, and it puts everything in perspective, and it makes me wonder like, how would I handle this situation? And I'm left like coming to the conclusion, like I would not do well. I would not do well in this. And then you have to go through like a little bit of a devastation that like I can't be like her. Like I'm not that strong. My faith is not strong enough. My will is not strong enough. And so you kind of feel like, oh man, like is there even any way to get to heaven then? I don't know. I think but everyone's on a unique path.
I think you're counting yourself out too quickly. It was something, yes, she had a strong faith life and she was on her journey, but yet she had to face that path, of that pain. And I think if you were in that situation, yeah, it would suck, but you would figure out how to suffer and suffer well for Christ, for your kids, for me.
Smile.
I think you would. It's just that we don't normally have to go into that scenario, I think.
I guess you can't pre-plan it.
And think that mortality, is there. I just feel that overall, if that is what comes, and she had the gift of knowing that, hey, this is a condition that you have and you will die from it. Make the best of your life that you can with it. That's a gift from God.
It is. It's strange as I age how when you're young, you're like, man, I really hope I go quick so that you don't know what's coming to you. But like the older I get, the more I hope that I have time to like really take seriously at the end of my life, my journey, and to make sure that my journey ends well. Right. And what a gift it is to know that like you have an imminent end to your journey. And she made like the most incredible use of the end of her life that could ever be.
Yep. Yeah, I think there was at one point, just from she was saying that even though her arm wouldn't work anymore, her hand wanted to lace so badly. Like, that's just her work ethic was so much there, and it was her love of doing that and feeling purpose. Which I think we can all relate to, that she was probably in that sorrowness of like, I'm not worth what I was, because now I can't even do my lace. I can't do my work,
well, she may have actually like literally enjoyed it too.
Oh, she definitely did. That's torture for most people to do that kind of lace work. I mean, it's so intricate and would take so much time to do. You would have to love it to do it. Yeah. I mean, I don't think many people back in that time were just like, yep, I'm going to punch in the clock, 9 to 5 here. I hate this job. I'm pretty sure that didn't happen unless, you're like the lamplighter or the slop cleaner upper inside the alleyways. Probably those jobs were a little rough, in that time period. You probably didn't like your job very much because, it was natural gas and it didn't smell good at all. Anyways, I don't know. I thought it was good. So one more chapter in a couple episodes, we'll probably get to that. So if we haven't said it in a while, it's The Extraordinary Parents of Saint Teresa of Lazu by Hélène Monglin.
Totally wrong.
How do you say that?
Hélène Monglin.
What you said.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's translated by Marcia Daigle Williamson, PhD.
Okay.
I mean, it's written in French.
Okay, and then a smart English person wrote it in English.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Probably French and English person.
Probably. Well, if you've got any comments on it, send them to us at catholichitch@gmail.com.
May the Lord guide and direct our journey.
Amen.
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
Hey. Stop controlling the mouse.
Stop controlling the mouse.